You have to cut that bird's mouth so that it planes out with the rest of the rafters on the top. We try to take the wood out of the wall and put in insulation. That changes depending on how you apply the stress in relation to the grain direction.
Hello, bachelors. Welcome to yet another beautiful day in the life of our bungalows. It's good to see this chat popping off already. And we're just getting started, guys. We got Will Stevenson in the chat. Like that smash button. That's right, folks. Get in there and hit that button of liking because that makes everything better for everybody. He is also entering the competition, the battle, the third word for thing of that nature. And he is ready to win $400 today, guys, as you should be too, because think of the things you could buy from Home Depot, Lowe's, McCoy's, Menards, Harbor Freight, Ace Hardware, any other beautiful hardware store. I think Ace Hardware is a new one. I just thought of that one. You guys could use $400 at a hardware store. And so you ought to get your chance to win $400 for free. Guys, go to my Instagram and follow the post, do the giveaway post thing, or come up here on the live streams. You can win 3 tickets on the live stream. You can win 2 tickets by joining my Telegram. You can win 1 ticket by doing the Instagram thing. But either way, you're winning a ticket to win $400, and that is what we like. Also, it's actually like late night learning live, guys. I got so many things going on. I'm used to spinning this thing. I just went straight into spinning the thing. We're going to do that at a surprise time, which is why you guys should hang out and listen because you don't know when I'm going to do it. But it's going to be at some point. So if you're watching this on any other stream and you want to participate, go ahead and pop on over to YouTube, type hashtag the word of the day. There's already people doing it in the chat, so just type what they've typed. We got Jenna Nelson also entering today. Hashtag grooming. That is correct. New haircut, new look. Just kidding. Same look. It just has to reset every few weeks. All right. We got Centurion. Centurion round 2. That's right, Centurion. We were just on that previous live stream with JC Tosh on our podcast channel here. And now, instead, we're here, ready to learn about construction and foundations and winning money. All of these great things. Hashtag grooming. He is entering. And we got Mr. Green Observer, the one and only Green Observer, the one who makes the music for this whole channel. He's been doing it since the good old days, since back in the cabin build and all the other stuff that was going on. He has been producing music for this channel for a while, and he does a fantastic job. All of the music you will hear me play come straight out of this man's creativity and musical skill and all of those wonderful things that come together that make music. Nice haircut. Looks good. Thank you, Jenna. I appreciate that. Unfortunately, that's not going to win you an extra chance because the blade spinning is what it is. So that's what we got. That's right, Green Observer. Keep up that good music, man. Awesome. So if you want to check out Green Observer, I got a link in the description below. You can go straight to his channel and see all the music he's made. And maybe you could even ask him, hey, bro, can I use this music for a thing and promote you? Or, hey, bro, can I give you $30 million for this music? I like licensing. He might engage in a conversation like that, but check him out. Who knows? Awesome. So guys, if you are watching this for the first time and you don't know I have a Telegram, join the Telegram community that I got because it's where I post all of my updates, all of my everything. It gets the most interaction. You can ask me questions in there. You can have conversations. You can share memes. You can do whatever. There's all kinds of stuff that goes on in there. So check it out. It's a fun place. t.me/BFB success. If you want to know how to get in, just do that. And make sure you hit the join button because I think you can view it, but it's more fun if you join it because then you could do cool stuff like enter to win $400 and all that stuff. There you go. Ha ha ha. True. Hit me up. Happy face from Green Observer. That is correct. He is ready. He is musical and he is prepared to provide. So, guys, before we have all that fun and win all that money, let's talk a little bit about a few things that are going on. I'll give you guys, first of all, the update. ADU basically passed the building inspection. We're gonna like make sure that our vents are lined up a little bit, but like we're good. We passed building, plumbing, framing, you name it. Like we're good. Electrical didn't pass because there were a few things that he wanted us to tweak. But like good news, all easy stuff, super simple stuff like hot wires, wires that have like the hot side of the service that are white off of a double pole breaker. The white wire needs to be black, so we're gonna coat it with electrical tape, black, or you could like Sharpie it or whatever. But like we're just gonna wrap it with electrical tape. People need to know that they're hot. Things like they're using like the right connector in one little spot for something, like moving a box somewhere for a thing, and like super minor stuff. We'll knock it out. We'll be able to have it re-inspected and passed super easily. Uh, they turns out did not like my custom guy wire. So the reel I made for you guys on how to make your own guy wire is great if you want to know how to make a guy wire, but it's not great if you want to pass an inspection where they're going to look at that and say, that doesn't look like that's approved. That's not an approved system. And they don't know that I'm a structural engineer. They don't know that I did my numbers. They don't know. Doesn't matter. Got to be approved. And that's fine. So we're going to swap the thing out. I've already got the thing. So it is what it is. But we'll get that fixed up. So ADU coming along greatly. Give you guys updates with that in the Telegram as we go. Again, if you guys are in any other streaming platforms, come on over to YouTube, enter to win $400 by typing the hashtag word of the day in the chat. Here's the hashtag word of the day right there, hashtag grooming. Type that in the chat and you get a chance to win $400. Who wouldn't want to win $400, guys? Like, everybody needs tools. Everybody. So come on over and win some tools. Okay, so we got that to update you guys with. I'm going to be shipping out tomorrow morning, midday or something like that, heading on over to Colorado to be hopping on a tower. I think this guy's a 250-foot working height. So we're going to go climb up there, take some line off, clean it, put some line on. Pretty quick and easy job. And then I'll be back and over here to Washington to finish up this ADU conversion. Going to have a good time, and I'll update you guys along the way. So that's what I'm up to there. I've got a surprise. I got a surprise for you guys. And I'm going to drop it somewhere in the middle of this stream. I'm going to put over here in my notes here. A self-supporter. Correct, Mr. Will Stevenson. In fact, this guy, Mr. Will Stevenson, is my brother. He is the guy who said, hey, Sam, you want to do this little tower gig thing? And I said, you know what? Yeah, it's been a minute since I've been on a tower, so let's go do that. So follow him because he's cool. At will.stevenson.iii on Instagram, I believe. Check him out. He's got cool stuff going on. And he's my brother. So if you see me doing cool stuff, it's, he also does cool stuff. But man, if you want to also see more cool tower stuff, like that man has been doing towers for a lot longer than I. So he's got it. But I've got a surprise for you guys that I'm going to release halfway through. I'm going to put in my notes right here, and then I'm not going to forget it. We used our tools to not forget things. So, what is distress? You bought a house. You walk into the house. It looks like a great house. You live in the house for 5 years, and all of a sudden, you start noticing that, like, was the wall separating from the ceiling there before? Was there a big wrinkle in the wall over there before? Was that crack forming there out of the corner of the window? Was that there before? And you start wondering, like, hey, what's going on here? Why am I seeing distress in my building? Well, 2 reasons. 1, it's because your building is moving. And 2, it's because your building is built of materials that when moved, you can see that they moved. Those are the simple 2 reasons. That is it. Okay. So nobody really likes to see their sheetrock cracking. So real simple, guys. How do you avoid it? Have a house that doesn't move. Now, what is pretty much the only way to do that? The only way to do that is to put your house on rock. Okay. Rock, bedrock, no soil, nothing moving. Or basically, like if it's a bedrock area and you've got like 1 foot or 2 feet of soil or whatever, okay, is what it is. But like That's pretty much the only way to avoid this one, because soil. I am not now. Disclaimer: I am not a geotechnical engineer. I am not a soils expert, but I understand enough to get myself in trouble. So I also inspected people's foundations, talking about literally this topic for like a year of my life. So I understand a thing or two. Now, soil is basically like water. Okay, you got to think of soil as a fluid thing. It's just really slow until it's really fast, and then it's like mudslides and stuff. But most of the time, houses, it's slow. Okay. A lot of the fluid dynamics terms we would use in engineering apply also to soils. When you have your, well, let's just talk about like some properties here. So your soil is made of a bunch of different things, a bunch of different materials, a bunch of different properties of materials. One of the materials that causes your soil to do things that are not good for buildings is clay. And that's because clay is naturally very expansive and contractive, if that's the right word. When you introduce moisture to clay, it expands. When you reduce the moisture, it contracts. If you ever think of like a desert floor, there's like cracks and dried chips of things flaking up and stuff like that. There's probably a lot of clay there. Okay. That's the stuff that like is literally expanding and contracting and forming cracks. And then you're like, that's just forming some cracks in the ground. Why is that going to affect my house? Well, here's how it can affect your house. If you have a lot of clay content in your soils, which you can check by checking out the web soil survey thing, um, I'll throw a link to that in my Telegram. Join my Telegram, guys, t.me/BFB success. So that's where I throw all my cool information for you guys to learn about construction and stuff. So you can find the soil information on web soil survey online if you know how to use it, or you can just ask someone or something. Maybe they'll know. But anyway, if it's got clay and it's expansive, not only is the clay soil expanding left and right, but it's expanding up and down. And that creates the problem. If I have a house with a foundation like this, and I've placed the house on soil, and the this side of the house is all wet, this side of the house is all dry, and then like that's when I poured the foundation, everything's nice and stable or whatever. And then for whatever reason they switch, and the dry one now becomes wet, the wet one now becomes dry. House is going to do this because believe it or not, the pressures that like can come from a soil expanding or contracting are going to be immensely way stronger and beyond like the weight of the house, and it's going to push the house like it's nothing, right? So basically what's going to happen is, depending on the moisture content in the soil, your house might go up or down, and it's going to do that in different ways in different areas of your house. Depending if your house is really big, it's going to do it different ways in a whole bunch of different areas. And like God forbid you have like a plumbing leak or something under your house, and then that can like keep an area moist while everything else is drying out. You can do all kinds of bad stuff. So when you're in an area like the Houston Black Clays area of Central Texas, like lots of great farming soil in that area, very nutrient rich soils, all of those things, good for farming, bad for building on. And so that's why they always scoop out like 3 feet of that and then replace it with good compacted engineered fill before putting a house on it. Or if you're over in like San Antonio area in Texas, a lot of bad soil over there. Unless you end up going a little bit north and you've got like some rock to put your house on. Okay, if you got the rock, then you're going to be good to go. But the problem with the rock is that the land is going to be a little more valuable because it's got that nice foundation, rock, and it's probably going to be more expensive to do like your septic, your sewer, anything where you got to dig. Congratulations, now you're jackhammering rock, which is just way more expensive. So I can tell that. I mean, I just got off of the podcast. I'm going to have to slow down my voice here if I'm going to save it. Oh, didn't bring my water with me. So we talked about soil. Soil can expand and contract with moisture content. That's causing this problem. All right. All the little cracks and things you see in your wall. Now, there are some other things. Like if you have a brand new house and you see slight cracking and stuff in the sheetrock, that can be from the house like weight settling into place. It can be from like the wood reaching its like natural average moisture content and drying out. It might shrink a little bit, and that might like expand a little bit and crack around windows and doors and stuff. That can happen. Nothing's perfect, but That stuff can happen. So let's talk a little bit about rigidity. Okay, what is rigidity? Well, if I have something like a mouse, this mouse is made of plastic. All right, plastic's decently rigid. It's not as rigid as like steel or maybe something else, but it's decently rigid. Okay, rigid meaning it can't deform. If I have something like a mouse pad, this is not rigid. This is flexible. This is ductile. This is like under any kind of weight or load or anything, it will just go. "Bleep." And if this is your foundation and your foundation like dirt goes up over here and it goes like down over here or whatever, guess what? The whole thing's doing flexy flex. Now, depending on what kind of foundation you're building, you can engineer strength into your foundation to not flex. And basically, what you're doing, guys, is you are building a boat. That's one of my favorite analogies to use. Foundations are basically just boats that we put our houses on top of, and the boats float on the soil. Okay, so when the soil does what the soil does, the foundation, depending on how rigid it is going to either stay in its shape and just like tilt or lean or heave a little bit or move, but it's not going to bend or flex. One end drops down, the other end stays the same, right? So those things are much worse. If the foundation is rigid and the soil moves a little bit, the foundation can handle that like weight displacement and it's going to literally hold up the house above it and not flex. That would be ideal. But it takes a lot of money to build a foundation that's that strong. And so there has to be some kind of like average. And the average is basically described by either engineers doing an engineer design if it's required or the code. Now, the code is quite relaxed. If you're going with like minimum standards and you're doing like a slab on grade foundation, guess what? It's not going to have very deep beams and it's in the foundation. There's not going to be very many of them. And it's not going to be super stiff. So, what that means is your foundation is going to be allowed to flex quite a bit, and certainly to the point where you're going to see stuff like cracking and moving. Now, is your house going to fall down on you? No, probably not. In the year that I spent analyzing people's foundations, I didn't tell a single person that their house was going to fall on them. I saw maybe one or two houses that were like, yeah, your foundation's way outside of bounds. Um, Recommend you do something about the foundation, basically like jack it up in certain places. And you could do all kinds of cool stuff like that. But basically, we want to avoid that. Much better just build a solid foundation. The problem with that is that most people don't want to put an extra $10,000 in the concrete thing that they're burying in the ground. They want to put $10,000 in their front door, or they want to put $10,000 in the cabinetry, or they want to put $10,000 in the tiled shower that's beautiful, right? No one wants to put that where they're not going to see it. That's a problem because your nice, beautiful tiles in your shower might crack and certainly like across your floor systems, those things are going to crack if your foundation flexes. I just about guarantee it. Even if you decouple them well with like a product that keeps the tiles not directly adhered to the concrete, if that foundation bends enough, tiles are super rigid. They're going to crack somewhere, even in a grout joint or something. Things are going to move. So you ought not to do that. So it's very important to keep your foundation, properly supported, proper rebar, proper beam depths, all of those things, because like I have seen some things mostly in Texas when I was doing that stuff. But at the same time, when I came up here to Washington, codes are a little bit different, building styles a little bit different up here. And I saw the way they were doing some concrete work and the lack of reinforcement that was going in. And it was all acceptable in the way people did things around here. But then, believe it or not, when I went to somebody's particular house where they do concrete like stem wall for a garage and then they just like pour a flat 4-inch concrete floor in there and like minimal reinforcement, minimal beams, all that stuff. Guess what? When the soil moved, the whole thing went and broke and just everything's all misaligned now. And like the concrete floor has gaps in it, like an inch. Like it's all bad, 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 bad. So, one, you should anticipate the soil moving underneath your house. Two, you should do something about it by having a well-designed foundation. And three, if you don't have a well-designed foundation, then you should do what we're about to talk about, which is maintenance, people. Okay? Now, here is the fun part about maintenance. It's that it's really complicated. It takes a long time to figure out how to do it correctly. And you probably won't figure it out. I'm going to be honest with you guys because I care about you here. All right. I studied a lot of this topic, and basically my job for a little bit was to recommend people. As an engineer, I was like, okay, um, your foundation's cracking, your drywall is cracking, this is happening. One, is your house okay? Is it within code? Yes or no? Whatever. And two, what do we recommend you do? All right. And most of it is moisture maintenance. Okay. The whole problem comes from the soil expanding and contracting. So, that's not true if you have sand. If you have a very sandy base, then you have like crystal realignment going on, and like water can create a whole other problem there. So I'm talking mostly about expansion from clay soil. So if you maintain your home with a pretty consistent moisture content in the soil, then guess what? Your home's not going to move super like a ton on average. If you do absolutely nothing and you let all the soil get super dried and cracked up and all full of like nothing, and then you let it like rain, and rainy season, all the cracks fill up, and then the cracks go away. If you see that going on, then you're not doing anything, and very likely your house is getting pushed up and pushed around and shifted around. Another factor is when your foundation was poured, depending on what the moisture content was of the soil at that time, is kind of going to depend on like what the averages that you're trying to keep. So the soil in the center of your foundation is at a different moisture content than the soil at the exterior of your foundation. Um, Things that make this complicated to try to like track, guys, is the moisture content in your soil is affected by the sunlight hitting the soil. It's affected by the landscaping materials on top of the soil. If you got rocks, if you got grass, if you got stuff like, there's a bunch of stuff that affects how much water is retained in the soil. um, do you have gutters and downspouts dumping water out on the ground next to some certain spots? Did you pipe that out to the street? Where's all the water going? What's the air temperature? What's the humidity like? What time of the year is it? What's the sun angle on your particular house? Is there a house next door that like shades half the house? And so like you got all these factors going on. It's like, how could you possibly understand how to keep the moisture content in your soil consistent unless you're sticking like a moisture meter in the soil of some kind? Like, man, it's difficult. And so basically, because it's really difficult, most of what happens is we say, listen, this is very complicated and very difficult. We recommend you just kind of keep your soil somewhat moist throughout the year. If it's a really rainy season, let it be. If it starts to dry up and it's feeling like a hot summer, then maybe consider getting a foundation watering hose that like slowly drips out water into the soil. That one's kind of an okay solution. One of the better ways to do it is to actually like make sure you're applying the water where it can be absorbed into the soil, not like during the day when it's going to get evaporated off. Okay, so running sprinklers in the morning that keep all the soil around your foundation consistent. Sprinklers are a little bit more effective than like a drip hose thing. Um, Stuff like that. That's just stuff you can do if you're in like an area with this kind of a problem. Not all areas have this kinds of problem. Some places it's just you build the foundation, then you're good to go. So it really depends on what the base is. But these are the difficult things. And we got Tam in the chat. Hello, Tam. Welcome to the stream. And you are entering to win. We have Team Jenna here. And when I say Team Jenna, I'm referring to the $400 giveaway that I'm doing. And if you guys want to earn $400, then come on over to YouTube, type the hashtag word of the day. You can enter to win $400. There are 3 ways to enter. 1, do the Instagram post thing. 2, you get 2 tickets if you join my Telegram. 3, you can show up to these streams, comment the word of the day, and earn 3 tickets. That is right. Awesome. We got a full crowd here today. Hashtag expansive soil gang, water your house. That is correct. So, yeah, I mean, I don't recommend watering the house itself, but I think the idea being communicated here is that you want to water the soil around your house. And basically, what we would say is within 5 to 10 feet of the foundation. That's pretty much all you got to do. Like, you don't got to water your whole yard. It's not going to be that effective. But yeah, water early in the morning before the sun's like up and this got time to get all the water absorbed into the soil. But You know you're going to have red flags, guys, if you walk around the outside of your house and you can see a gap. You can look down the side of your foundation and you can see a gap between the dirt and your foundation. Because guess what? If you can see a gap there, then that means right below it in the soil, that soil shrank down something like that amount. And you're not going to see a gap between the bottom and the beam in the soil because that's where all the weight of the house is sitting. But you can believe that it's like moving that much. So gotta be careful. Thank you, Tam. I try to help you guys out with knowledge that you can use that is helpful to maintaining your homes. So you want to build a good boat if you can. Strong foundation. If you don't have the control over what you're building and you've just bought a house, then there are, so basically, what are the tools? What are the tools we use to analyze foundations? It's basically about elevation gathering. So whether it's like a zip level or like a laser level or a water level, I think those are the three tools anyone would use. You basically go around your foundation, you say, okay, what are all the elevation points? And when your foundation's new, you're probably going to be like averaging somewhere between a 1/4 inch deviation total, like max, something like that. Like if it's a good pour and everything's flat, then everything should be about flat. And then things are going to vary when your flooring is added and stuff like that. So you got to account for the flooring types. But basically, you can, if you're in an area like this and you really want to pay for it, you might be able to find an engineer who will come out and basically analyze once a year or once every 6 months. We recommend the 6 month thing because like it alternates seasons theoretically. So if you have your house floor foundation inspected every 6 months and you have the numbers constantly stacked up and you get all this data, then you're pretty much going to know like, oh, it's just not moving or it is moving. I had a house in San Antonio where you could tell somebody had installed piers. And for those who don't understand what the piers are a solution to, oh crap, my house is way out of level, everything's breaking, let's fix this, or at least restrain the house so it doesn't get worse. Okay. Frequently, you don't want to actually fix the out of level because it's a long process. It takes a long time for this to happen. And so along the ways, people usually refill the gaps and cracks as they form. And so if you actually level the house after it's been deformed, you're going to recreate all the cracks in a different direction. So people frequently don't want to do that. Just want to restrain the house, stop it from moving. And so what you do is there's two types, guys. There's concrete piers and there's steel piers. All right. And there's like helical piles, but like most people aren't going to pay for those. That's a commercial fix. So concrete piers, super simple. Dig a hole underneath your foundation, little small hole, throw a concrete block underneath there, and then start jacking the thing up. And do that a bunch of places. And eventually you'll achieve so much soil bearing pressure that you're actually going to be able to pick the house up. It's kind of crazy. The problem with concrete piers is they're designed to go in like not super deep into the soil. And the problem with that is that you are temporarily stopping the house from moving. The problem is that as the soil gets deeper into the ground, the soil gets more stable because it's less affected by sunlight and drying and this and that and the other. So the deeper you go to support your house, the more consistent your house is going to be. Oh, Centurion's got a question here. The steel ones are what you showed on Telegram, right? That is also a steel pier. It's not the one I'm referring to. That is a earthquake solution for a mobile home. Literally, its only job is to clamp the mobile home and then bolt down to concrete and keep the thing from falling over. That's its only job. A steel pier for somebody's foundation is going to basically be a bunch of pipe, 2-inch pipe, 3-inch pipe, something like that. And each end is like threaded. And basically what they do is in a bunch of different positions around your house, or sometimes on the interior of your house, which sucks if you need it. Sometimes you got to do that. So you basically, good luck. You're busting up your floor. You're breaking open your tile. You got to find the beams. It's a mess. You don't want them on the interior if you can avoid it. So you're going to do the exterior. And what you're going to do is get these guys to come out. They're going to come out with all these hydraulic machines. And each machine is designed to take this round pipe tube and force it down in the ground. And they're like 4 or 5 foot sections or something like that, maybe 6 foot sections. And it forces the pipes down into the ground. And they do this a bunch of times. And basically, eventually what happens is the pipes get so deep that they'll go anywhere from like 20 feet to 40 feet, 50 feet down in the ground, guys. And they'll generate so much friction with the soil, the deeper they get and like the harder that soil pressure is, that they'll eventually be able to pick the house up just by friction. And the friction will remain usually because it's so far down on the ground that it's not affected by any of the seasonal changes in the soil drying and stuff. So if you want to fix a house, steel is the way to go because the steel piers are designed to go deep, 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 deep into the ground for like a really solid support. And if you use the concrete ones, they're just literally like a little concrete cylinder. You just stack blocks and like it's a shallow solution. It's at the top level of the soil. It is for basically like house flipping only purposes. It's not a real solution. All you're doing is literally digging out the dirt underneath your foundation, throwing junk in it, and jacking your stuff up, jacking your house up on the junk that you've thrown in the dirt, and then covering it up. That's all you're doing. So it's not going to change anything. It's just going to like maybe you'll level the house. And this is why flippers do this, by the way, is because you can level the house and then because you're in an area where you know this is a problem, everybody gets a foundation inspection when the house sells in San Antonio, basically. So, or like lots of places in Texas have the same problem. And so house flippers will pay for this service and they'll pay for the cheaper way to fix the foundation. Guys will come out, level the foundation. And then when the home inspector comes out and says, hey, there looks like there's sheetrock cracks here, you should get your foundation inspected. And they're like, okay, pay an engineer. Foundation gets inspected. Turns out foundation comes out pretty damn level, pretty damn good. So the engineer's like, well, looks like everything's fine here, guys. You're good to go. And then they're like, okay, cool. And then they buy the house and everything was true and correct, but it was a temporary solution. And the seasonal changes is going to continue to affect the foundation and nobody wins there. Um, that's just the way it goes. So if you can buy soil, but if you can buy a piece of property with great land, great dirt, great structural dirt, great, because that's a great way to avoid a lot of these problems. And if you build anywhere else, you will be doing this as part of home maintenance if you don't want cracking all over your house. Awesome. This is great to know. I hope this is great to know because this is like stuff nobody tells you this. Nobody tells you this kind of stuff. One, few people tell you that like, oh yeah, you should maintain your foundation. Two, very few people understand and know that, oh, it's actually really, really, really difficult to maintain your foundation properly. And so you should just strongly consider not building one on bad soil. But like, guys, homes are pretty darn cheap in San Antonio, and that's for a reason. So like, if it's what you can afford, hey, that's what you're gonna do. Just be aware. So yeah, guys, use a good boat. Centurion's got an old manufactured house sitting on cement blocks. You live on 1 to 2 feet of dirt on top of bedrock. Perfect. That's what I want to hear. That's what you want to hear, guys. And you know what? Let me see. I'm gonna walk you guys through a quick little thingy here. Oh, before I forget, because we're in the middle of this, I've got a surprise for you guys, and I'm glad you're all here. My surprise is that I'm going to be delivering something to you guys, all of you, that has been in the works for some time. And I'm going to make sure that I get it to you guys before I head out for the tower gig. Tomorrow morning, I think is when it's going to come out. I'll be dropping everything in the Telegram. I'll be posting all of it on YouTube all at once. Obviously, it's going to take time to like upload and render and do all of its stuff. But the home design program is coming to you guys. And so my target here is to say, guys, here's my file. Here's how I run through it. It's super simple. I've simplified the layout of everything. You just click buttons, guys. It's not like my 100% solution yet. I'm going to continuously improve it for you guys as we go. But this is where it's at right now. So this is what it's going to be. And basically, I'm going to take a sample house. I just went and like found one online. It's like, here's this little house thing. You can buy this set of house plans for $800 on this website. Or you can download my files, use my thing, pay $200 for a 1-month subscription to the software that I use, go through my little process, all free, and then draw the house as you want it, exactly as it was in the plan. And then, oh, look, by the way, you have complete control over the product that you're drawing. And so, you know what? You didn't like that wall there. Delete it. Okay? Like, full control. You can customize your plans as much as you want, and it's cheaper. Okay? So, and it's going to be easy. because I'm going to show you how to do it. It's like playing The Sims, guys. That's all it is. Like, you gotta. I'm dumbing it down so that you don't have to understand how to like spend 5 years learning the software and all this stuff. So you guys can just take it and like run with it and design cool stuff. And if you don't want to spend the time doing it, then you can always come say, "Hey, Sam, you know what? This is very time intensive, or I'm not quite understanding this correctly. Would you instead design me a house?" I would say, "You know what? That's a great idea. I'd be happy to do that for you." So that's a surprise, guys. The home design program is finally coming to you. I'm going to make it accessible for you guys to get customized professional construction plans. Okay. That's another key word is professional. You can get a lot of other construction plans that are not going to solve your problem. These are going to be professional. These are going to be something that's like, okay, I've got a set. Mr. Builder, how shall it be to build this house or whatever? Okay. You don't got to bounce back and forth. Like, guys, it is ridiculously complicated and tedious for regular people to just go out and like get a price on a house and build it. Um, there's always like, well, I got to find a designer or I got to find an architect or my architect drew something that my builder can't afford to do or like my builder doesn't want to or it's too expensive or yeah. And it's like, man, it's very complicated. So I think personally that putting this process into the hands and giving control over the people that are going to be like using it is helpful. Hopefully you guys can use it. And like, yeah, okay, you don't like the first thing you do the first time, great, open up a new one, do it again. Like you can do it an unlimited number of times. So, and it's only $200 a month. Like you're gonna pay thousands of dollars for plans, and if it's a really good designer, maybe like me, you might end up paying like tens of thousands of dollars for designs. But like, or you could invest some time and like maybe you're already interested in construction and like some of this nerdy stuff anyway. So you're like, you know what, I'm gonna do this thing. I'm gonna do this thing and get these plans, and I'm gonna like figure out how to do this thing. And like, hey, if you get confused at any point, you can ask questions on my Telegram. I can help you out. If you like get really stuck and you need me to like help you through like a big piece of the process, then we can have like a little consulting call or something, and I can help you through. Again, you're not paying the tens of thousands of dollars or whatever it would be. So, hey, it works out for everybody. So, it's coming your way. It's going to be here soon, tomorrow morning, depending on what time zone you are in. I don't know what the exact time is going to be, but it's coming. So, foundations are complicated. There's not a lot of ways that we can manage the fact that they're complicated, and that expansive soil is a complicated problem. It was always unfortunate to me in that industry that it'd be like imagine going to the doctor and you're like, "Excuse me, doctor, my arm is broken." And the doctor says, "Well, that's unfortunate. Like, yeah, it's broken. I agree. Um, here's some things you could do. There's a lot of things that could be done. We're not really sure which one to do, but we're going to have you come back in 6 months, and we'll reanalyze the situation, and we'll see if it's still broken or if it's improved any." Okay, that's what it's like to have a broken foundation because it's like there's so many factors. That's what it's like, guys. That's the reality of the world that we live in. So, hope you learned something. And I think it's time for everybody to have a chance to win some money, don't you? I think that'd be great. Green Observer. What are those? Oh, those are goats. I thank you. I like goats. Thank you for that emoji, Daniel. Are you calling me the goat? I hope so. Or are you saying, oh, it's the goat because he's got the foundation on bedrock? Yes, absolutely. That's what you guys want to do. Canyon Lake is a beautiful place in Texas. Lots of rock there. Beautiful, expensive land, hill country, great views. The only problem with the hill country area is that apparently oak wilt is spreading around and killing everybody's oak trees. So I just learned on the other stream. So yeah, awesome. This is awesome. Thank you, Tam. And Green Observer, yes, you are goaded. Oh, thank you, Green Observer. And you, sir, are the goat of music. That's for sure. All right, let's get this spinning blade ready to go here. Looks like we got everybody in here. Let's set it up and get you guys ready to win something. And then I'm going to jump right back into making sure you guys get this beautiful home design product. That's what I'm jumping right back into after I eat food and maybe drink some water because I've been talking a lot with a lot of uh, what's the word I would use? Emphasis? That doesn't seem like the right word. But I'm going to share my screen and we're going to spin this thing. Are you guys ready? Again, last time, if you're on any other platforms, come on over to YouTube, type the hashtag word of the day, and you can check out the spinning blade we got here. I'm going to throw your name on the wheel, and you'll get 3 tickets for a chance to win $400. That's $400, guys. Gift card to a hardware store of your choice. Who knows what you could buy? You know what you could buy. You know what you want to buy. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you for spending your valuable time here at the Bungalows for Bachelors Late Night Learning. I hope to see you guys again on the next one. Let's get right into spinning this wheel because it's ready. We are going to spin it in 3. Oop, just kidding. That's the wrong sound drop. 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, here all those names. Observer, Tam Tam. Oh my goodness, right in the middle. It's going to be right in the middle. Is it going to be back on Bungalows for Bachelors? I can't quite tell. Oh my goodness. And look, I have won today. Bungalows for Bachelors has won. Guys, that's kind of cool because you know what that means is that maybe next time you'll win $800. That would be pretty neat. I bet people would be much more excited to win $800, maybe twice as excited to win $800. Comment to 1 in the chat if you would be twice as excited to win $800 as $400, guys. That would be pretty darn cool. We're going to have to just see what happens. Who knows? But that's the idea anyway. So thank you guys for coming on. I will see you on the next one. Hopefully this time I can play the right music for you guys. Again, Green Observer, check him out because this is from him.